Hello, everyone, and welcome into episode 106 of the Stomp the Bus Show. And this is a very special episode where we preview ASU being in the Big 12 championship game. Yes, it is real. In fact, ASU was the first team to clinch after destroying U of A 49-7, and TCU took down Cincinnati right after the game. Colton, thanks for joining me. As always, please like and subscribe, rate and review on your podcast platform of choice and follow the College Huddle. I was just on the Big 12 College Huddle show earlier. That'll go up tomorrow. So if you want a different perspective on the game, you can check that out. I will retweet that on the Stomp the Bus Show Twitter page. Colton.
What an intro.
First time in our lives as ASU fans, we've seen a 10-win regular season, and it feels good.
It's been an incredible ride.
Yep.
Capped by an incredible game in Tucson. Didn't get up to the seats until, let's see, maybe midway through the second quarter because
their concession –
I guess there's 4 beer stands in Tucson.
Their concession setup is a joke.
It was the most –
It is a joke.
It was the most unpleasant experience I've had waiting in a line in a football stadium. And I don't know if maybe that's recency bias, but
no, dude,
I was watching the game on my phone, standing right next to the field because I was in that line for probably, I missed the entire first quarter, got back up to my seat with 7 minutes left in the second. So
that's 45 minutes of real time.
Yeah, it was pretty absurd.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, this is a tangent, but
no, it's a tangent that needs to be covered.
It does. It does need to be covered. It was a ridiculous. It was like they hadn't prepared. There were no. One thing ASU does really well is it has the stands where it's just beer or just alcohol, and those lines usually go pretty quick because it's people just, there's no kids in the line or anything. Like the food lines at any stadium. Although ASU has the thing is ASU also just has way more concessions in the stadium.
I just want to say also, based on those lines, I'm fairly certain that a lot of those U of A fans have watched this season relatively sober, which makes me feel even worse for them.
Dude, they sucked. They were so bad. I can't believe I was even had a shred of nervousness in me entering that game.
After Scat's second touchdown, I was like, wait. Maybe we shouldn't have thrown the records out for this game.
Yeah.
Maybe this was always going to be an absolute beatdown. But anyway, I mean, you said it, man. Not only that, but I want to say maybe I saw 4 concession stands.
Dude, it was
absurd. Not prepared at all. I mean, it wasn't even the workers' faults either. They were put in such a horrendous spot. You couldn't even be upset with anything other than the layout.
The structure. And that's something that is so easy to fix.
Yeah, it was awful. Just such an unpleasant experience. But once I got up to my seat, I will say this, now that I have disparaged their concession setup, the view from where we were sitting, I don't know what section that would have been, but the opposite high seats, the high seats on the opposite side of the press box have an unbelievable view. So there's my good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
Outside of the game, because we know how that went.
Yeah, some of it's just the natural beauty of Tucson. But anyway,
that's a sentence I never thought I'd hear.
There is some good
the natural beauty of Tucson.
But
you're right.
Area.
You're not wrong. I just never thought a city commonly referred to as the Dirty T would be referred to as naturally beautiful.
Well, the city itself is a different discussion.
There we go.
Anyway, before we actually transition to the game, dude, I went to. It was the end of halftime. I was like, oh, I can maybe grab a hot dog or something. I haven't eaten much today, and I just see the line. It's what are we doing? I'm not in this. I'm not waiting in this line. Like, it was absurd.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure they ran out. Somebody we were with when we were there, I think they tried to go back at halftime to get, like you said, like a hot dog or something like that. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they said they were out of hot dogs at halftime or like out of other stuff. Like, it was just the worst planning I've seen.
No reason to plan for the Territorial Cup of all games. Like,
right. No, it was absurd. Also, 50% of this podcast may or may not have snuck into a photo posted on Graham Rossini's Twitter.
That's right. Yep.
Bottom right-hand corner. I was not the kid who got the free jersey. Shout out to that kid. But bottom right-hand corner, I was in the shot.
Yeah, so, go check out Graham Rossini's post on X.
And he was shouting us out for like being loyal, right? But in all fairness, if I didn't have ASU minus 31.5, I would not have been there. So I don't want to portray myself as I'm staying till the end type of guy. I just had action, but thanks anyway, Graham. Go Devils.
Whatever works. Yeah, that came into question early in the third quarter, but I cannot believe they punted on their second possession in the third quarter from like 4th and 2.
Yeah, a lot of questionable decisions.
That was unreal.
I was
blown away live, being like, are they actually punting this? So, Matt Campbell, please follow the Brent Brennan School of Punting.
Yeah.
On Saturday. That'd be great.
Man, it was pretty wild. There was a lot of stuff. You're not watching it under too much of a microscope when the game is just as out of hand as it was. But
yeah,
that is one that I remember being like, "There's no way they're punting here, right?" And sure enough, so
down by 28 and midway through the third quarter. Yeah, let's punt.
It made me a little money.
It helped you, yeah. And that and Derek Eusebio housing it at the end. That was awesome.
Shout out Eusebio.
He needs to play. He needs to play.
I mean, man, he's going to have an opportunity more than likely. Everybody bumps up one if he showed enough. We'll see where he was at in the non-blowout script hierarchy, but if that showed enough juice for Kenny to get him some snaps, we'll see. But I mean, they're going to need all hands on deck with Tyson done for the year, which is that's a tough pill to swallow given where they were in the game. I don't think it is what it is. Like, if you want to keep playing guys, you don't have to pull them. That's just losing him in a game that wasn't competitive is really tough.
It was just right. I feel like it was just right before you would have pulled him.
Maybe his last drive, which makes it even worse.
That's what sucks about it. Because no one in the moment was like, get him off the field. Like, it wasn't that.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a hindsight thing where you're looking at it and you're like,
but it was it was like the last possession they would have played their starters.
Yeah. Right. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure after Tyson got hurt, they pulled everybody.
But I'm saying anyway, it would have been.
No, yeah, you're right. It was just a very unfortunate situation that I guess now we'll get to see. We've talked a lot this season on this show about depth. I'm pretty sure we've used the word depth on every episode this season. And now that's going to come into play maybe more than we've needed it to all year. We'll see where their wide receiver depth is at. See guys like Xavier Guillory, Melquan Stovall, those guys have to step into bigger roles and pick up the slack, and hopefully they can. But I think we'll also get a lot of insight about who Levitt is too, right? This is a huge loss. This is the guy this has been his go-to guy all year. Tyson has almost lapped the second leading receiver on the team, man. Like, that's been Levitt's guy. So what does Levitt look like without Tyson on the field too? I think will be an interesting angle to watch for here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's weird to say this about a redshirt freshman quarterback, but I honestly don't really have any concerns about Levitt going into this game.
He's shown a ton. I agree.
Maybe he throws, maybe he has a bad game and they lose, and that's part of it. But like, man, he's locked in. I listened to some of his remarks at his media session this week, and like, you can just like, you can just tell like this dude is like embracing the moment. He's confident. Like I don't think he's going to be like, oh, the Iowa State defense, like, what am I going to do? Like, no,
right.
Like, this dude is in control when he's out there. He's one of the better athletes on the field, right? Like that, like, I think it's going to be a big, like, I think there's going to be a few scrambles that he has. And I think Marcus Arroyo, like, I think it's almost good that they know for a fact, like, like, what if Tyson, like, what if it was like a hip injury or something where it's like, maybe he can go, he's a game time decision. I think it's almost a good thing that they know for a fact that he's out. So it's like, okay, like, here's how we're going to use Shimon Mateer. Here's how we're going to use Guillory. Here's how we're going to use Stovall. Here's how we're going to, here's how we're going to, they have Malik McLean has been practicing this week.
Right. I did see that. Jake Smith.
So like,
I'm pretty sure he's still healthy, right?
I think Jake Smith should be good to go for this game.
Okay, cool.
So like they need to like have all these guys contribute. Like if Malik McLean catches, I don't know, 2 passes for 25 yards in a win, like then you contribute. Like it's going to be a scatter shot offense, and
that's kind of what we saw early on. Before Tyson really took the reins as like the alpha. That's what we saw a lot of.
Well, if you look at I was looking at some of the box scores, and again, obviously the Texas Tech game was a loss, but Tyson didn't have a huge impact in that game. It was the big receiving threats were Guillory. Well, it was Scadaboo actually had 100-yard receiving.
Right.
Of course. Like, and again, like when you have Scadaboo, like that is such, like you can use him in the screen game. You can throw it to him down the field. Even like he's
a cheat code.
Yeah. He just does everything. But Mateer and Guillory had good games in the game against Texas Tech. And so it's not like these guys are like Mateer, I don't worry about at all. Like that dude is a baller.
His role shouldn't change too much. Maybe they just get him a couple extra looks. I think the point you brought up about this not being like a game time thing is actually a super underrated point to make, right? They're scheming. They know what's going to happen. They know Tyson's not playing. I think you have some bright offensive minds. Obviously, there's your breaking news.
Yes.
This is a pretty innovative. I said innovative, but this is a pretty.
Hey, I mean, Michael Crow went to Iowa State. This is the Michael Crow Bowl. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But you have the minds, the offensive minds that you're going to need for something like this, right? I don't think they're going to be outmatched game planning without Jordan Tyson, right? And I mean, like I said, man, it's going to – and Scat's another one. I think that's going to be the big matchup in this, right? Iowa State's run defense isn't going to stifle Cam Scatabo. It is vulnerable, right? So that's going to be the big X factor here. I think they're going to need to be more complementary, and they've been a really solid complementary team all year, being able to, mix run and pass, and maybe one element picks up the slack here or there, but they've been pretty balanced. And I think maybe the run is going to need to open up a little more for the passing attack in the game. But Scadaboo's versatility is going to be a huge, huge element to this as well.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, Iowa State plays a 3-3-5 defense as their main, what they usually go to. So that's good for Cam Scadaboo, right? Like, I'm sure that they're going to load the box at times. Like they're definitely would like if you're Iowa State, you're like, we want Sam Leavitt to beat us. And
which that's still a pretty dangerous proposition.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Leavitt has become
he's good.
I don't think you can debate that he's a top 15 quarterback. I think the debate comes in when you're looking top 10 and there, but I think his floor he's a top 15 quarterback in the country at this point.
And at least. And CBS Sports has done like quarterback rankings per week, and he's been up there at number 5. And
right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
crazy when you watch him. It's not crazy.
No.
Since he's come back from his injury, he played great against Oklahoma State. He played they needed him to play well against UCF without Scadaboo, and he played well.
Balled
Granted,
out.
They had Tyson in that game. He was awesome against K-State. He was pretty good against BYU. They didn't even need him to be great.
Yeah.
And then he had an easy day against U of A. So, and another thing when we talk about the wide receivers stepping up is, I think it is pretty important. Like Guillory has had some times this year where you haven't really noticed him, but the last 2 weeks he's shown up and he has
made big plays.
He's had a long reception in each of a long touchdown reception in each of the last 2 games. So it is not like I could still see Guillory having a big game. Stovall's been more involved in the offense, right? They got him to it on that first drive they had.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like he's not like some incapable player, you know.
No, neither of these guys are. I think it's more of a testament to how talented Jordan Tyson is, and less of an indictment on the rest of the guys on the roster. That's how I'm perceiving this. It's going to be one of those things where, I mean, one of these guys is going to have to step up and fill that role, right? That's kind of a role that's developed in this offense, is that go-to guy. So, I mean, they have the profiles to be able to do it. It's just a matter of who is going to be that guy, and is Levitt comfortable with somebody else in that role? I think he will be. I'm glad you mentioned his running ability, because I think that is such an overlooked element of his game, is his ability to run too, which we'll see how that's implemented. I know Kenny loves to get him involved in those, zone reads and things like that. So watching him run as well, putting that stress on an Iowa State defense that's already vulnerable against the run, I think is going to, if they're able to get that going effectively, I think that's going to make a huge impact.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's the obvious matchup in this game, right? And
right.
I think ASU's not just going to run it, have a good play every single time that they run the ball, but it does feel like it's a good strategy for them. I don't know, neither of us are film guys or getting super into the detail of defensive lines on the other team, and they do have they have a guy, Dominique Orange, as a defensive tackle who's good, but BYU has some good defensive linemen too, and we had no trouble running the ball against them for the most part.
Right. I mean, our offensive line has been rock solid too. That's the thing, is we match up extremely well as a rushing offense against whoever it is we're going to play, so.
Yeah. So it's, we aren't really giving great analysis on this aspect to it, but it's I just think if they keep running a lot of those same, they've been, the power runs that they do or whatever, that, some of the outside runs to Scadaboo, they've just been working. So just keep don't overthink it. And Dillingham, in terms of play calling, if anything, he's underthought stuff, in the Mississippi State game where they just really
we need more of that. We need more of that from coaches, right? Yeah. Do what works. You're here for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to need to be a little different given the personnel circumstances, but you do not have to. When you try to be the smartest guy on the field, that's typically when the opposite happens. That's what I've recognized.
Danger is crept up,
right? So just do what works and do not overthink. What you're doing. Yeah.
So I think on that side, we have to talk. Iowa State's a good team.
Absolutely, they're here too.
Yeah. So do you think? I equate them to the BYU because that's the best team that we've played, and we beat them. I don't want to say handily, but we were the better team in that game.
Right.
It's tough because if Iowa State has these linebackers injured, man, they make depth charts for a reason, So that's one thing where I just this could really work out well for us, but it's also just not as simple as that,
Right. There's a lot more that comes down to it.
So, but they have a good passing attack. They have 2,000-yard receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. I think I think I would imagine one of them has a good game at worst. Like we're not just going to shut down this Iowa State team. But it will be interesting to see how this game starts out, right? I mean, the last 3 games, ASU has got off to 21-0 leads. I don't think that's going to happen again. But if you just continue with that intensity that you've shown, that these other teams just haven't been able to match, including 2 teams like basically of similar caliber to Iowa State in Kansas State and BYU. So
100%.
That'll be an interesting thing to see how this goes. And I mean, Arroyo, they've had good opening drives this year. And Arroyo mixes in the screen game as well. I think, we see that screen play to Mateer that he scored at K-State where they just kind of leak him out. It doesn't – I feel like if one of those hits, that can be such a big thing for this game.
100%. Man, it's – you're right. The analysis isn't going to be groundbreaking, but it just feels like we've seen this before. The last 2 weeks – or not 2, but the last
yeah.
– let's say 3. I'm trying to for some reason it felt like Kansas State was 2 weeks ago. But 2 of the last 3 weeks I feel like we've been in this spot where it's our takeaway is usually if ASU is able to come out and do what they do well and script an effective opening drive and start quick. That's been their big thing, is starting quick, because teams have shown in the last, again, those last 2 out of the 3 that we know we're referencing, that they can kind of chip away at it a little bit. They can get back into games. So ASU building that big lead is, I feel like they've proven that's where they're most comfortable, right? So getting out and doing that again is pretty imperative. And I mean, as far as that, man, it's just a matter of playing your game. That's as simple as it. Yeah. Do what has worked. There's a reason you're here, right? Yeah.
No,
don't deviate from that. It's really that simple in my eyes. I don't think Iowa State is much different from what they've seen outside of their passing attack, right? They've got a more effective offense maybe than BYU or Kansas State, but I also think ASU's defense has been maybe the least worrisome part of this whole equation, given the Tyson injury and everything else, right? I think we kind of know what we're going to get with Brian Ward's defense. So it's one of those things where I think if they come out and they play the game that we have grown accustomed to seeing them play in the last couple of weeks, I don't know. I think we're looking at a college football playoff team.
Dude, I know it feels. It's tough. It's just so weird to be in this position where it's just and I've seen this mentioned on 98.7 this week, is if you're in the Pac-12, you would most likely be playing a high-end version of either Oregon, Washington, or USC. And that is just never a good, place to be for, or what happened 13 years ago when they lost to a Stanford team that was just
a wagon
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not this Iowa State team is not as good as that Stanford team. Those early David Shaw, that was David Shaw, but that was still riding off the Harbaugh momentum.
But I will say that Iowa State and Arizona State and probably Colorado and probably BYU are all better than Boise State.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I do have to get that off my chest. I know that's groundbreaking stuff.
Yes. If Iowa State beats us, they should be the 4 seed. No matter
100%. And if we beat Iowa State, we should be the 4 seed. Yeah. Whoever wins the Big 12 championship should be the 4 seed. There is no universe where Boise State, a Mountain West. I mean, if UNLV wins, it's a moot point. But there's no scenario where a one-loss Mountain West team, I guess their one loss is to Oregon. Fantastic. There is no scenario where that one-loss Mountain West team should get a bye over a 2-loss Big 12 champion, given the parity in the Big 12 conference.
Yeah, especially when you consider the fact, I would actually be okay with Boise State getting a bye if they were dominating all of these games against the Mountain West.
100%. That's another key element.
That is not what has been happening. I cannot see Boise State and I get that it was in Laramie, and I get that it's later in the year and all that. I cannot see Boise State beat Wyoming by 4 points and see ASU beat Wyoming by 41 points and be like, oh, these teams are the same. No, they're not. They're not. And I'm not here to argue against Gene T. Like, I love Ashton Gene T. Like, it's nothing about him. And I honestly, like, I don't like arguing against Boise State. Like, Boise State is probably one of the programs. It's probably like one of my top 5 programs. Like, if they're just randomly on, I'll root for them to win. Like, I like Boise State.
It's unfortunate that it is Boise State in this position. I think we're more frustrated about the position than we are the team.
100%. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, like, they beat Nevada, like a 3-win Nevada team by 7 points. They fell down.
The Wyoming struggle really gets me.
Well, and BYU beat Wyoming by a lot too. So it's like they were dominating teams early in the year, and then it kind of shifted. So go Running Rebels is all I have to say. Like, and I think they're capable of winning.
Oh, 100%. I think that's like a 3-point spread right now.
Oh yeah.
Mountain West champion. They play at a neutral site. Championships at a neutral site, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to go to Boise for that.
No. It isn't Boise.
Is it really? Okay. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
That does complicate things.
Yeah. Man.
I think Boise's
frustrating.
But
I think they are too.
The other thing that could happen is Clemson could beat SMU, and then maybe Clemson is the 12 because they have 3 losses. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? If ASU makes it, and
I still wouldn't even be shocked if they put Clemson above ASU.
I think I wouldn't either because I think that
this disrespect, man, is the Big 12 disrespect has run to such a depth that like a 3-loss ACC team is going to garner more respect.
Neither of us are like huge Big 12 homers or anything.
No.
Like we see this league for what it is. And let's be honest, the fact that like, ASU has a good chance to finish first is like kind of a testament to why we feel that way. But with that said, this idea that actually now a Mountain West team is better. No. We need to be able to effectively and correctly categorize things in the order that they are instead of being like, Boise State. The thing they get the most credit for is a freaking loss. Which is annoying. And then, you're right.
Playing
with
Oregon
team with Clemson. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the Big 12 and the ACC are not meaningfully different. You know, maybe the ACC is a little bit better this year because of how well SMU has done. And, like, Syracuse has been good. And, you know, like, it hasn't, like
I think it might be the struggles.
They're the same level. So, like, But, I mean – I don't know. Part of me doesn't even want to be talking about this because we need to win. Like we need to win for this to be.
But I mean, even if we don't win, and Iowa State is a 12 seed,
that's true.
Like I think either way, it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, I had a point and I completely spaced on what it was, but either way, it's an issue where. Either way, it is going to affect this conference. I think what ended up happening, I just remembered what I was going to say. I think what ended up happening was we talk a lot about how the preseason poll completely flipped, right?
Yeah.
I think what ended up happening maybe with the perception of this conference, which I think is more of a testament to the parity of this conference, is those alleged good teams weren't good. Right,
they were all bad other than K-State. Yeah,
right, and that kind of gives. And then Kansas turned it on at the end, even man. Like beating Kansas ended up being a pretty nice win. After it's probably the reason I don't know all the tiebreakers off the top of my head, but it's probably one of the contributing reasons why we got in. Given Colorado and BYU both lost to them. But what I'm trying to say is. The lead dogs of the conference completely falling off, I think which is kind of ridiculous given the fact that the committee decides who gets in and all of those things, right? But I think those teams falling off kind of gave this conference the perception of being overrated or being, you know, like we're all kind of suffering because Oklahoma State had 3 wins or Utah finished with 4 or 5 or whatever it was, which is ridiculous. But I think that's the nature of the beast in college football when you have, human beings dictating who goes where.
No, that's so true. Like if we were Utah and Iowa State was Oklahoma State, and it was number 8 versus number 12,
we would have a strong conference in the eyes of the committee.
It would look so much different. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I echo what Ralph has tweeted in the last few weeks of like, it's so great that we're in a spot where we can be like bitching about the playoff thing.
It's a really good
December,
problem to have.
In December,
it's a really good problem to have.
Yeah, so that does have to be acknowledged. All right, I think we've kind of talked about this Iowa State game a good amount. We definitely this will either be the best or the second best team that ASU has played this year. But it might be the best. We might be the best team that they've played this year, right? Because they haven't. They didn't play BYU. They didn't play Colorado. They played Iowa in the non-con. I think we're better than Iowa.
They had Kansas State.
Kansas State. They played Baylor, but they played Baylor early before Baylor got hot. So I think that we actually probably are the best team that they've played. Now that we kind of just talk it out, it'll be, I mean, you just got to corral their passing attack. And I mean, their running game is not like awful either. Like they have 2 capable guys who are pretty good. So, but I'm not worried about this team. I'm not like, we've stopped the run pretty dang well.
Yeah. Teams have not been able to run.
Yeah.
I remember having some issues. The run defense had some issues against Utah. That was a big one.
Yes, Bernard
got
him. Yeah.
Texas Tech a little bit as well.
A little bit, but they never let Brooks like really gash him.
Cincinnati was tough.
Cincinnati, they had that one. Yeah, that was the worst single run defense play of the year when they let. Yeah, but they got that was also like that was also like a unique play, and ASU called a blitz on that play, so it was just
perfect storm kind of thing.
It was a perfect storm, but like in the traditional like down to down running. I mean, that game against Kansas State, like they stoned them so many times.
Yeah,
and I know Giddens got some yards later in the game that kind of changed how the numbers looked. And that's the thing, like this defense has played so well in these first halves of games recently. I mean, they were all over the place against U of A. And granted, it's U of A. I get it. Like, but there's not like U of A still had like they had Tetero McMillan, right? Obviously, who by the way is better than either of these Iowa State receivers. Maybe one of them has a really good game, but like they're not going to get picked top 10 in the draft, right? Like T-Mac is a beast. But like, some of the other guys they had, it's not like, don't get me wrong, U of A is a bad team, but they're like power 4 level guys that were on the field for the most part. So we got some noise coming in.
Here, I'll mute. Sorry, my dog is drinking water.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? If it's sunny, that's fine. But I just think that this defense, they know what they need to do. They have, having that experience in the back end with Alford and Simmons, I think that's going to play a big role in this game. Because our corners I'd say they're fine right now. Like I know that Abney got beat on that play against T-Mac. I can live with that. Like, again, it's T-Mac. They had the right play.
Yeah.
Robinson, I don't know. I think this might be a big game for LaTerrence Welsh to pop in and play when he needs to, because Robinson has kind of got picked on the last few games. So that might be an early adjustment. But he also hasn't like gotten torched either. So we'll see. And I mean, if the D-line played great against U of A, I don't really know what that portends. But it's tough. Like they haven't been able to get a bunch of sacks lately, but they have generated some decent pressure. Like they've at least made the quarterback uncomfortable. So I don't know.
For sure. No, I agree with all
linebackers have been great all season long.
Yeah, that whole front seven, man, has been unreal. Even the secondary has been so good. Talking about ASU football in the past, you've never talked about a defense that you felt comfortable about, at least off the top of my head. It's usually like I'm trying to think of like
I'd say the 2021 team
as actually had a pretty good defense as I do for this defense.
Yeah, no, that's fair though. That is fair.
Like this is the most confident I felt in a group, top to bottom too.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, the front seven has been excellent, but
it's not like everyone's a game wrecker in there, but they're just solid.
They play well together, right?
Yards.
They all mesh.
Yes.
They mesh within this scheme, and like you said, nobody outside of a couple of outliers, nobody's really been able to run against them. And that's helped the secondary out a little bit too. But it's top to bottom. It's just been such an effective defensive effort this year. And I mean, hopefully we see that continue.
Yeah, the big thing is you're going to need – it'd be great to get some turnovers from Becht. And
they've forced turnovers too this year.
Yeah.
Done a pretty good job in that department.
It hasn't all just been like luck either. Like there have been some moments where the ball's been in the air, like they've almost got a pick. So and the defense, like, I know this sounds dumb to say, but like they are, like, that's what they're looking to do when they're getting on the field. And you can't always say that about even a good defense, honestly. So I'm not super worried there, but I also do, like, I think we can be praise the defense while also acknowledging that, like, Iowa State's going to get some plays on them. Like, it's not going to be the 2013 Seahawks out there or anything. Like, they just need to play their game, and I think the offense will give them enough wiggle room. So before we get to score predictions, I have a unique question for you. Did you want to play Iowa State, or did you want Colorado, or did you want BYU?
That is a great question. You know, I think I will say against BYU, I think we had the benefit of coming out and just like hitting them in the mouth immediately, right? Yeah. They were kind of disoriented out of the gate, and then they picked up some momentum there at the end, and we got the turnover when we needed it. There was some tough situational calls, all of those things. I think the familiarity with the BYU situation would have scared me a little bit. I think when you have to play a team twice, there's a little bit of like, okay, they've seen us before. They know what we want to do, especially given how that game ended. So that scared me a little bit. Not that BYU is going to instill fear or anything like that. It's just the familiarity variable there.
Having to play them twice. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I think Colorado offensively would have been tough to stop. I'm trying to think in terms of like that might have been the best offense ASU would have had to play this year.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Like without a doubt. So I mean, Colorado, I think we kind of caught a break with Kansas helping us out. Not that I'm afraid to play anybody. Like, I think if we're just talking about optimal matchups, out of all of those, the way that BYU is built is a little more reminiscent of the teams that we've beat, right?
You mean Iowa State?
Iowa State. I'm sorry. My dog is going crazy in the other room, and I'm trying to power through it.
Yeah.
I think Iowa State's makeup is a little more reminiscent of like maybe a Kansas State versus like a dynamic, Colorado-esque offense. So that, all of that being said, I do think the defense has seen something like this. At least, I mean, no team is the exact same, right? But at least something similar to what Iowa State might bring them in terms of like other teams they played this year. So I guess that's just a really long-winded way of saying the Iowa State matchup. I mean, again, not afraid to play anybody, but I think Iowa State might have been the best matchup for ASU given where they're at currently.
Yeah. So I agree 100% with you. And none of it is about Iowa State like being bad or anything.
No, not at all. Like I said, I've said it multiple times. They deserve to be here too. And what's cool about Iowa State, real quick, I know I totally cut you off. This is just my last point. Iowa State kind of had a similar path to the Big 12 championship too, where it kind of felt like a two-horse race between BYU and Colorado there for a while, and Iowa State just kind of kept hanging around. Same thing happened with us, where it was kind of just like slowly climb the rankings and let the chips fall where they may. So I think there's a lot of similarities between ASU and BYU in terms of this, or Iowa State. I keep saying that ASU and Iowa State in terms of the seasons that they've had.
Yeah, no, I Iowa State, like they started off 7-0, lost 2, and then they've kind of bounced back. So it is
right.
This is a tough challenge. Like the thing is, like they're kind of building towards this. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind is like they've not like this whole team, but they do have some seniors. And Matt Campbell's coached in this game before. So like this is a real opponent. And when we say we wanted to play Iowa State, it's for BYU, the revenge factor and playing them twice. Like you just never know. And I won't lie, it is so, after all the shit that they talked after we beat them, including their wide receiver, Chase Roberts, who was like, oh, if we play ASU again, we're going to demolish them. Well, guess what, buddy? You're never playing them.
Wait, did he actually say that? I never saw that.
After the game.
I thought all that I saw him say was talking about his catch that was short on the Hail Mary. I didn't know he said that. That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, again, like, what was there even to say about that catch? Like, dude, congrats on catching it. You were 2 yards short of the end zone. Like, it doesn't. I just don't. What are we talking about?
Sorry, your quarterback couldn't get it there.
Yeah,
nice snag though.
Is this what we're gonna do in football from now on? Like, analyze every almost completion in a Hail Mary. Like, that's what happens with Hail Marys. It's a jumbled mess, and it's like a 20% success rate or 15 or whatever.
In his defense, that was the Hail Mary of almost Hail Marys.
There you go. But like, no, when your Eagles won the Super Bowl, right? Like the Patriots, that was a Hail Mary. We were like, oh boy, like they got dropped in there. Like, and that almost got caught. Like, but
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Edelman who like. Now you're taking me down memory lane, but you're 100% right. Those plays, and I mean, we saw it this year in that Commanders-Bears game.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's elements to that where like you have to practice those plays too. It's not as simple as go out there and hope they don't catch the ball.
Well, luckily, no one on ASU in that BYU game was talking shit to fans in the stands as it was going on.
Yeah, that was a big win.
That will never not be hilarious from the Bears. Anyway, so we addressed BYU. It's like it's not even so much that like, oh, we don't like. No, I'm perfectly fine playing BYU, but I don't want to deal with all the ancillary stuff, And I mean, from a foot, like it's hard to beat a team twice, a good team. So, and then Colorado, I felt especially once we assumed that Tyson was out, like if we were going to beat Colorado, we would need to score with them. Like, and like we can have all the great things we said about our defense. Like Travis Hunter can erase that in like that. Like, and Shedeur is accurate. He avoids pressure well. He has a ton of experience, from FCS days as well. So like and also like all the external, like outside stuff, like I don't want to deal with it this week. Like, and with this Iowa State game, it's just about football,
Yeah. It's been so quiet.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a word about this game.
No, because if it was BYU, it would not be about football. It would be about the bickering between
the rivalry.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I kind of want to see Big 12 rivalries start to develop for ASU.
That one has developed.
And I think the BYU one is a rivalry.
That one is locked in.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, they know it is good. So should be a good game. It seems I don't know if these are I feel like these are the two most complete teams in the Big 12.
That's a great way to put it.
I think Colorado might actually be the best team in the Big 12 because you have and Colorado's defense is like it's like a little worse than our defense, but it's
They're improved from last year. For sure.
No, like really, like not even like like they're a little bit improved and we're like legitimately improved. So that was another thing I didn't want to deal with. And it is like as a fan, like I won't lie, like some of these guys who transferred out, like it's kind of nice that there's no way anyone's getting any revenge. It's like we are in the Big 12 championship game. Maybe we
no one went to Iowa State.
Exactly. So let's get a score prediction.
Ooh, all right. I do think this one's going to be close, and I think it's going to be in the 20s.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that that rushing offense versus Iowa State's rushing defense element is going to play a big role here. I think that is going to take a lot of pressure off of Levitt to, and sort of alleviate the loss of Tyson a little bit. I think we'll see some guys step up. I'm going more long-winded here, Mark, because this is a big one.
That's fine. Yeah.
I think we're going to see Guillory and Stovall, either both or one of those guys, step up into that number one role and play pretty well. I do think, let's see, ASU is going to win this game. I think they win 27-24. Iowa State has a chance to tie it at the end, and we come up with a turnover.
Okay.
27-24 ASU.
Okay. I have 31-24 ASU. Same general thinking. I don't think anyone's going to emerge as the number one receiver in this game. I think it's just kind of going to be find the open guy.
100%. I don't think. Let me clarify. I don't think it's going to be like a coming out party, and one of these guys.
Someone's just going to have a good
10
game.
receptions for 170 or anything like that. I just mean that one of these guys is going to sort of settle into that role a little bit and look a little more comfortable than a guy going out there, 7 targets for 3 catches and 35 yards, something like that.
I mean, it would be awesome to see Guillory do it.
Obviously, that would be incredible. So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right. We're going to wrap this up. Do you want to touch on basketball? It became a ho-hum win.
Yeah.
Man, these two
big wins. Yeah. They are growing before our eyes, and they have fit in so well with what they're trying to do. I saw Doug Tamaro, who's been ASU's SID for a very long time. I think he said he's been watching ASU basketball for 32 years, and he's never seen a shooter as I don't want to put words in his mouth, but a 3-point shooter as effective as Jocelyn Sanan or Jocelyn Sanon.
Yeah.
And I mean, given the fact there's been some solid 3-point shooters that have come through ASU, that's pretty high praise. So
yeah. Well, and I was at the game last night, and man, this dude is a sniper. It is, and his form is so crisp. It's like Klay Thompson-esque. It's like it just fits, and I'm like, man, this dude is. I'm so glad he came to ASU. He is so fun to watch. He has helped us we would not be 8-1 right now without Jocelyn Sanon. Maybe 7-2 or something, but we would not.
And Jaden Quaintance, dude, his defense is unreal.
It's. If you're an ASU fan and you haven't, go to Desert Financial Arena sometime this year, Big 12 game, whatever. These dudes are good. And the rest of the team is good too. They're not having to play hero ball.
No.
Adam Miller is good. Adam Miller's been good. Alston Mason's been a great point guard.
Bashir Jihad is just so underrated.
And he's so consistent. He just gets to the line all the time. And he's got good enough skills. He's been such a great addition, and BJ Freeman's been good as well. It's just you just have a lot of guys with skill, and it's so fun to see. And it feels like getting to the tournament feels so much more likely now. Now that you have all of these wins, you have all of these the New Mexico, Santa Clara, St. Mary's, GCU. That could be 4 tournament teams locked in already. You have an opportunity to beat Florida later this month. I mean, you could get into conference play at 10-1. Let's say you go 500 in the Big 12. Then you finish 21-11. That might be as good for a 6 seed.
Yeah, there's no hopefully we get a first 4 game. You're in at that point.
Yeah. So
it's important though. This non-con, we've talked about it a lot even when we were previewing the season. Yeah. We talked about how important this would be for that buffer you just talked about. Yep. And I mean, man, their only loss was to Gonzaga.
On the road, competitively.
They won the the Acrisure Classic, which I mean, we know it's such a storied history with the Acrisure Classic. So that's an illustrious tournament to win. But still, man, you beat St. John's, you beat New Mexico. That's a big time tournament. So
totally. And so
St. John's too. That's another thing, man. Is
St. Mary's.
or St. Mary's. I'm sorry. When the schedule came out, we weren't even looking at playing a team like St. Mary's. So just boosts it even more. But yeah.
No, and they also play like a fun brand of ball too. It's not like ugly ass wins all the time either. So I mean they've scored over 80 points in like 7 of their 9 games, at least 80 points. So
yeah,
that's really good to see. Volleyball is kicking ass too. They host NCAA tournament this weekend. They play New Hampshire on Friday night, so they've been a great story too. First Big 12 conference championship for them. And hopefully the Sun Devil football team can add another one this Saturday. Thank you for watching.
Sorry.
Let's go Devils. Forks up. It's such a great place to just be in this spot and watching our team play in the conference championship game. Hopefully they win, but you know what? Let's just enjoy the ride. And
not bad for the 16th best team in the conference.
Not too shabby. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, rate and review. And as always, go Sun Devils, forks up. Let's get that championship.